Hi guys, here we are in mollusk land. So these are some mollusks from the science room that I've hauled home so I could show them to you. Normally I'd be putting them as a decoration in the middle of the table right now, but oh well, here we are. I did not buy any of these, none of them. When I was a young teacher, a lot of children were going to Hawaii, and every time they went to Hawaii, they'd all come, and sometimes they go on the same plane, 15 of them at the same time, and bring back shells to me as a gift, which was really nice of them. But these are all, I love it, I hate it. All of them. Not this mollusk though. That's a cuddle. I bought that at Monterey Bay Aquarium. It's a paperweight. And not this mollusk, because it's plastic. I got that at Monterey Bay Aquarium. So we didn't kill anybody there. Here, I'll put it back. These I found on the beach. These are called olive snails. And they were empty. Nobody was in them, so I didn't kill anybody there. But this guy, uh-oh. And this guy, uh-oh. This abalone, I found this abalone. It was just lying on top of some rocks when I was 9 years old. And I'll take these out of it. Look at that beauty. Now everybody here is a mollusk, but growing on it were crustaceans. See these little volcanoes? They had little legs that they put out and they would pull in plankton and feed. How cool is that? I love this. This is my favorite abalone I ever had. I have to leave this to somebody when I'm not on this planet anymore. Maybe Monica would like to have it. These are crustaceans too, over here. This lobster, this hermit crab. Here are some barnacles. Just like these are barnacles. And they would have their little tentacles coming out. Isn't that a pretty one? These are a problem for people with boats because their eggs just spew out into the water, and the babies, the spark of life and the egg cells just mingle in the water till they start growing life, and then they settle down anywhere where it's hard. This time it was here. Sometimes it's on the shell of a sea turtle. Sometimes they grow on the bottom of boats or on the pilings that hold up the wharfs and the piers. But if they're on the bottom of your boat, you want to get them off because otherwise it slows your boat down in the water. Someone invented some paint that keeps them from growing. It's kind of poisonous, and everybody painted the bottom of their boat with it. But then they figured out that lots of animals were dying in the harbor. Lots of sea stars, lots of mollusks, lots of little fish. It was the poisonous paint people were putting on their boats. It had to affect other animals, right? So now they don't allow that anymore, and everybody's back to scraping barnacles off. I like these mollusks because they're beautiful. You can eat some of them. This is one that's delicious. This is a kind of clam called a cockle. I glued it together so the halves wouldn't separate. But this one was probably eaten and they didn't throw the shell away. But a lot of these in some countries, they just kill them so they can sell them for souvenirs. However, 2,000 years ago, people would dive down to collect these shells. It's a kind of snail called a murex. Now you know that an octopus can make ink. And I think you know a cuttle can make ink, and a squid can make ink. But this is the only seashell, like, you know, hold it to your ear, guy. By the way, you're not hearing the ocean. You're hearing the echo of your own blood going through your arteries in your neck, up through your head. That's what you're hearing. Daddy used to tell me that it was the toilet flushing. And my mom would say, "Oh, Ernie, stop that." He was a tease. But this kind of snail mollusk, this one can make ink too when it's upset. And the color of it's beautiful. It's this color. Isn't that pretty? We call this color royal purple. If we're ordering paint or anything, this is called royal purple. It's that bluish kind of purple instead of the pinkish kind. 2,000 years ago, people figured out who were divers. They were diving for sponges. Sponges are in their own ocean animal group. Here's a sponge right here. They wanted sponges so they could like take a bath with their skeleton. This is the skeleton of it. They were diving for those, but then they realized there were lots of these mollusks that made ink. This one will do it. Doesn't that look like a toasted marshmallow? This is not kitty litter in the bottom of this. This is sand that's crushed coral. It's from Mexico. And some sand is made from crushed rock that's glassy, and some is made from crushed coral. This is not kitty litter, this is crushed coral. I like this one too. Look at that one. And here's a funny little one. Kind of bent up, also a toasted marshmallow. All of these are called murex snails. Look at that pretty one. It's one of my favorite kinds of shells. They actually, if they're left to grow, they would get almost this big, minus this wing. This is called a conch. C-O-N-C-H, a conch. And I know that somebody ate it because they cut the muscle. They put a knife through and cut the muscle and took the meat out, and you can make that good fishy salad called ceviche, only it's a mollusk salad. So that one was eaten, and then they usually let you keep your mollusk after. I love these guys because they can make that color of ink. But 2,000 years ago, people figured out, wow, we haven't had a new color of clothes for a long time. And someone who was enterprising, that means knows how to start a way to make money, told the Caesar, that's like the emperor of Rome, that he had this new color that came from these mollusks that was beautiful. And he could make clothes this color. So he dyed some fabric, some material, and made it royal purple and took it to the royal palace. And they went, whoa! They went crazy over that color. So the Caesar made a decree and said no one can wear this color except for royalty. And you could go like to their cousins, and that's as far as you could go. If anybody else wore this color, they'd put you to death. So we still call this royal purple, only we can wear it all we want now, because none of those guys are alive, and let him try to kill me. He can't do it. But what an amazing shell that is. It's always been my favorite. I think this one looks like, you know that Neapolitan ice cream? I think Monica and I could go for that now. I wish the popsicle man would drive by. Just waiting for that. But doesn't it look like vanilla and strawberry and chocolate sauce? Ah! And I don't want to go to the store because I'm trying to stay away. Now this is something I want to show you too. These are all pearls. These are freshwater pearls. There can be saltwater pearls too. And there are certain kinds of mollusks who will make pearls more than others. This can make a pearl. It'll come out pink. These can make a pearl. They'll come out whatever color the inside is. So that would be a peachy one. This would be a white one. But they very seldom do them. The way the clappy clammy shells feed, when they open up, a lot of time those mollusks will get a little piece of grit in there or something, and it's cutting their meat and hurting them. So they have this liquid called calcium carbonate that they can make, like we can make sweat or saliva, and they coat that little thing with it until it doesn't hurt anymore. And people figured that out a long time ago. The Ohlone were collecting these. Way back with those Caesars, they were collecting them and picking the very best ones. Iran or Persia, there's all kinds of history of their making beautiful, beautiful royal pearl necklaces and having giant treasure chests full of them to be part of their country's wealth. These particular ones came from freshwater clams. We have freshwater clams in the Mississippi River Delta, and we learned from the Japanese, we stole their idea, how to take a little piece of seashell or even a little piece of plastic, open up the oysters that make it, because you want to use oysters that have that shiny color called nacre. In French it's called nacre. And you want to have the shiny kind of calcium carbonate in there so it will make a shiny pearl. Just a plain white chalky color wouldn't be very exciting. But I love these. These are my wedding pearls. Aren't they pretty? I love them. And they're shiny. See how they are? They have what's called a luster. So they figured out if they collect these animals, they could raise them even. They can put them in cages. They could raise them underwater, let them have babies, get all the little babies in there. And then when they get big enough, they bring them inside, and just like a doctor's office, all suited up with gloves and a mask on, they make a little tiny incision, a little cut, just like surgery. And they tuck something in there that's a little bit uncomfortable. And then they take a little stitch and close it, put it back in its cage, and a diver takes it down and it's roped to a dock. They're protected at night from thieves who might take them and get the pearls out. The longer you leave it, the more nacre is on it, the better quality or more expensive of the pearl. These are pearls that just have one coating on them, so they're not really expensive. There's a lady who sells pearls at the flea market, and I got strings and strings of them. But they're still beautiful. It's just that I have to be really, really careful if I made a necklace of them, that I don't like ever get shampoo on them or dish soap or hot water, because it can actually take off some of the nacre. But they're still special to me anyway. I think they're really beautiful, and they go nicely with this batch of shells. You'll never see me going to a seashell shop and buying any of these, but I can't throw them away, so I'm just reminding you, don't buy these when you go on vacation. Take a picture of them, collect with pictures, but don't encourage the people who kill these animals to do that so that you can just bring home a souvenir. Keep pictures of them, get an information book that tells about them, but don't have the creatures themselves. I think I'll leave these someday when I'm like 100 and I die to some other teacher who needs to tell the same story, so that these animals are still in the ocean. When you scuba dive and you want to go see them, they're still there, and there are still big ones. This is the largest helmet shell you can find pretty much now anywhere, but I want you to know that I've seen them in museums this big. It's just that everybody's collected all those over the years, and especially in the 1950s when cars were huge and used a lot of gasoline, and yeah, moms wore dresses all the time. That's when people were collecting these.